very much like an abusive relationship. I love it, but at the same time, you know, my girlfriend.
It doesn't always love you back. It doesn't always love you
my
back.
girlfriend beats me up a few times, and you know, I always go back for the sex, but you know you're gonna get a lamp thrown at you and maybe a cut over your eye. And no, anyway, so I'm very skeptical to fall for this. It's different now, like, because of YouTube, because of Schoolboy, because of WAL. I'm not a believer just quite yet. So are you in the camp where you fully believe it's different this time, since you've always
I don't think it's fully different, but I do know that there are substantial gigs for me, right? I mean, there are substantial opportunities in the arm wrestling world from a promotional marketing standpoint that happen to me right now. The last 4 months, not so much business, but before then, and I'm hoping by seeing NASCAR have 30,000 people today in Texas that it will not be in the in the future. I will be back up to running 3 or 4 tournaments at casinos a year that pay $15,000 to $20,000 to have the product there. I have an opportunity with Cooper Tires to work Indy race, Supercross, and NASCAR, 19 events a year. And my dream is that everywhere that I'm at, I also throw a single elimination arm wrestling tournament. So with all of that added up, there is a substantial financial benefit for me to run arm wrestling and for arm wrestling to be alive. So arm wrestling has never been so well when it comes to financial gain from me, for me. However, it was so bad back in the day. It's not like I'm making $1 million now, but it's, you know, so that makes me feel promising. And I think that I've still done a terrible job of maybe documenting it, and maybe didn't have just enough energy with me. So with those opportunities, when they come back, along with those opportunities allowing the budget for us to be there and for everything to already be paid for, it allows us to not chase entry fees, which allows us to change the format to the thing that's the most appealing, which in my opinion are, you know, just one-way class tournaments. You know, we've discussed it, and we'll go into that in the future.
We will get to that in a second. Okay, listen, Travis Bagent, you are an outlier. You've always found a way to hustle and make it happen for yourself. And I think you could do that for the next 50 years. I'm not really talking about you, because you found a way to do what you do. I'm talking about like 2004, we were on Fox Sports. Then we were on Mohegan Sun was on ESPN. Sevon had it on ESPN. Every few years, someone has got on television, Game of Arms. And now people are saying, well, WAL's on television. And I'm just like, I've seen television come and go, and it's never officially changed arm wrestling. It began Wild World of Sports. And it's like, you had, I released that clip with John Brzezinski. Imagine 1986, somebody comes to you, they're like, Sylvester Stallone, who had to have been the number one, besides him and Arnold Schwarzenegger, 1 and 2 action stars in the world, is coming to your sport, and they're like, we're going to do a movie on your sport. And you imagine when you start dreaming what that could do, and it's like, yeah, it grew the sport, but it still maintained its underground business. Forgive me to think that because WAL's on television doesn't mean much to me. I mean, I've been there, done that. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna get.
Yeah, I wouldn't try to judge it by the TV, because you are right. There have been bad TV deals that a bunch of arm wrestling promoters have made. And when I say a bad TV deal, it's just one that's not sustainable, right? So we've never had one that's sustainable for multiple years, except for the Worldwide of Sports, which I think ran for about 10 years. So, but I think that if Igor really gave Levon $50,000, and then this year was planning on giving 2 people $50,000 plus all the other payouts. I think I added it up to about $160,000 in cash that he was giving away. And then you add that to the $200,000 that the WAL gave away, and they gave it away about $27,000 at a time, right? Because you got these 5,000 matches, these $1,200 stipends for travel, the $1,000 if you lose, $2,000 if you win, and this is just for the low rent guys, right? The guys that were better were $2,500 and $3,500. I even heard last year they got up to $5,000 for everybody was making it or something. And now somebody told me maybe the money's going to be less this year or next year because of the COVID, which is understandable. So instead of judging us because of TV, let's think about how many guys made more than $5,000 last year. And I'll bet you it's the highest number we've ever had.
Okay, that's fair. That's a good metric.
Now,
like
that
when
doesn't
I was
mean.
Okay, hold on. When I was in the sport, let's say Pinnacle 2010, how many arm wrestlers in the world made over $5,000 a year? 2.
Well, I shouldn't say 2 because I don't know how Igor paid some of those guys that me and John took on.
Okay, so you're now 2020.
Yeah, and now you're 2020, and the guys like Adam Wilmot and Jamie Sheldon made $5,000 last year, right? And you know how many people think they can beat Jamie Sheldon and Adam Wilmot? It doesn't mean they can beat them. How many people think they can beat them? A lot of people think that could be their money. And how about this? Maybe 10 girls made more than $5,000 last year. That's got to be that. I mean, we're talking Michelle Dugan, we're talking Fia, Valerie Beach. You know, all the girls that had multiple matches made more than $5,000 for the year, and that's something that if you want to, it just depends on what your rationale is to growth. Is it financial gain in industry, or is it just people that are participating? But I think that we're more into now having our athletes entertaining the masses, not just arm wrestlers. So maybe are we bigger if we have 100 less arm wrestlers but 1 million more fans, or are we bigger with 200 more arm wrestlers and no more fans?
Well, I feel like there's got to be a feeder system. Like, for instance, I went to a tournament.
I think we have it. I think we have the most amazing feeder system in the world. Okay, it's called amateur arm wrestling, and it's everywhere. Listen.
I went to a tournament in 2017, I think, a Bill Collins tournament, and like Alan, it was in LA, and Alan Fisher was still winning, and and Chris Chandler was winning. It's like, I've been gone 5 years, and the same guys were winning, and I'm like, where's the future Alan Fishers, the future Cobra Rhodes, the future John Brzezinks, the future Travis Bagents? If I take the 10 best, can you name me 10 younger, newer people that have the ability to be you guys 20 years from now? Are they there?
Of course they are.
Like, I kind of have this fear that Alan Fisher still be winning at 70 because no younger people ever worked as hard as he did tearing.
I guess, yeah. Alan finished 4th at the tournament in Arizona for the money last year. So ask him about the Latvian kid, Vlad. You know, ask him, like, I don't know how much you know Daniel Mosier now. Daniel Mosier can win the hammer at the WAL. He's right there, right, with those guys. So there are great arm wrestlers everywhere. Jason Merlo, Paul Lynn. These guys are hungry, strong, bad dudes. So
there's enough young people, because to me, the WAL could blow up all at once if it runs out of, like, I no disrespect, but I can only watch Michael Todd and Devin Laird arm wrestle so many times before I'm like, okay, give me a new match. Like,
right. Yeah, the problem is I think that
go on.
Yeah, I think that you're being a selfish arm wrestling fan, and you have to realize that we probably have to show the Devin Michael Todd match for 2 more years to the masses in order to get them to click on all the other shit we want them to click on. So I think that the World Arm Wrestling League is at a great place. And the best thing about them is that they don't let everyone play. So because of that, there's still opportunities for guys like us, right?
Yeah. So when I was watching the podcast with all the guys, with Michael Todd, you, Ingen, and Neil, and you were like, I loved your quote. You're like, I'm happy for WAL. I'm jealous, but at the same time, I'm glad they fucked it up just enough to leave room.
Gave us an opening. Yes.
I love
Gave us an opening. Yes.
I love that.
And that's really what, and thank God, I mean, I think that there's an amateur tournament that is the biggest thing that there possibly could be. Or not really an amateur tournament. There's a pro-am, right, that is ran a certain way, and it's all internet based totally, and it wouldn't matter what organization you were under, you could participate in this event once a year, and the tournament would be no threat to the other products and the other arrangements, because the tournament is so grand that you can't expect to win it. The participation of it is what's the grander. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. So in other words, if we had a tournament and there were 1,200 people in the bracket, you would be crazy to go in there thinking that you were going to win. What you're trying to do is see how far you can go.
Yeah.
Right. And because there's so much adversity, right? First of all, you have no idea who your opponent's going to be until each round pops off, because you have to arm wrestle the guy closest to your weight. So, there's a ton of things that could make a tournament more like golf, right? Those guys don't go into the golf tournament trying to win the tournament. They go in there trying to play well and then see what happens on day 4.
Are you teasing us to where you eventually want to go? If I gave you $1 million, what you would do?
Not only $1 million, but what I would do if you gave me the $1 million, how I would have just think about the over the top. If they would have taken the budget and saved 5 more years worth of money to make sure they could run that tournament again for the next 5 years, then maybe arm wrestling would have been different, right? So
I love it.
I want to start something.
I want to tease it. I don't want to get into it yet. Tease it, because
you
got some
exactly.
good ideas.
So the tease is simple. It's a promotion that is inclusive, right, and 100% open to every single person, and that it carries weight from a pride standpoint, along with hopefully a nice financial standpoint, and that your participation is more important than how well you do. And that's and it's not a secret, the promotion that I'm looking to do. So I hope that, I know it's going to happen. I just need to put the right team together to make sure that it can be done affordably and it can be done over the long haul and not just a one-off.
Okay.
Event.
I have no idea what episode we're in at this point. If you're just joining us, I'm really lost. Basically, what Travis Bagent and I are doing, 10 years ago, if we were just on the phone at 1 o'clock in the morning bullshitting arm wrestling, what you're watching now is basically that recorded. I don't have an official format yet. It's just allowing you to be a fly on the wall in the world that is Travis Bagent and Gary Roberts friends. I encourage you, a lot of what we're talking about had some backstory that was covered on Neil Pickup's channel. Please go watch the episodes we did with me and with Travis to get the full backstory. If you're coming into arm wrestling brand new, don't watch anymore because you'll be fucking lost. You got to go back. You got to watch some of the behind the stuff because we're getting deep in here, like Neil said, deep inside. Anyways, so before we get into your idea, Don Fritchie, when he gave me $20,000, the first thing I said to him is I said, I don't want to be, I feel like every big tournament has a lifespan of like maybe 3 years. If you look historically, I might be, fudging the numbers a little bit, but it's hard for big events to last longer than the 3 year in a row mark. And he's like, yeah, like I envision $20,000 ROTN, 20 years in a row. I want to do that. Sadly, the economy fell apart, which impacted Don Fritchie, and money falls apart. I understand that. But when it comes to the WAL, what I remember is the WAL getting canceled like before, and then it came back, and what is their motive? Steve Kaplan, what is their motivation? Do they love arm wrestling? Are they looking to make $1 bajillion? Are they in it for the long haul? Like, what has to happen for WAL to stick and keep doing what it's doing?
Well, it's very simple. What needs to happen is that sponsors need to fund the programming or need to fund the league, and the TV deal needs to fund the production. So as of right now, there's money that is being used to show the networks and the sponsors the product in hopes that someone else picks up the bill and that there's money left over for the owner. So it's very simple. Now, are they going to make it? I don't know. However, I think they do a pretty damn good job. You know what I mean? So
right, but at the end of the day, somebody has to watch arm wrestling and love it. They can. Well, they can deliver the goods.
Well, exactly. Well, they're hoping that people not only are arm wrestling interested, but they will love their depiction of the show or their representation. And honestly, anybody who says that it's not good is a hater. First of all, you there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a ridiculous thing to say, and it's doing nothing for any of us. Like, none of us should be. It's like rooting for the president to be bad. If we should not root for the W.A.L to fail, we should want them the tide to rise, and for all of us, because they're a very exclusive organization, meaning they can only handle right now a 30, 60, 80 man roster. We can then capitalize on the other 2,500 active arm wrestlers, and also give arm wrestlers that haven't got their shot yet a stage that's really important, that will give them a spotlight. So maybe these professional leagues will call them. So I have no problem with my league being a stepping stone for the professional ranks, but I'd also like to push the envelope and make sure that we're giving away enough money that the professional guys better be taking care of you guys too, or it maybe wouldn't be the smartest thing.
If I gave you $10 million to do something amazing, has WAL locked up all the great arm wrestlers that they can't arm wrestle your thing?
Yes, they have. However, I think with $10 million, you could probably talk to WAL about some sort of a partnership in order, because here's the thing. All you can do is make your product cool enough that the W.A.L guys call their boss and say, hey, is there any way I can go do that? So I can't bring the argument up with W.A.L. Their clients have to call them. And eventually, if their clients really want to do it, they will force Kaplan to try to negotiate some sort of an agreement into letting them do it. But what's important is I don't think that anyone should care. If you ask an arm wrestler, or an arm wrestler asks you to compete in your organization and they have a contract with someone else, you simply tell them, call your boss. If your boss says it's okay, then it's okay with us. And I think that everyone feels that way.
So if I had $20,000 and I want to do another ROTN, again, this is way off. We're just dream talking here, but
love it.
I would have to have enough arm wrestlers show up that I could produce a show to put it on ARMTV, now the YouTube channel, because things have changed, that people would want to watch it. Would I only get amateurs at my event because I wouldn't get any cool pros?
I don't think so. I think that you would have an argument when your show is over that all of your champions could also win the W.A.L hammers.
Yeah, that's the approach I'd take. I'd be like, these are
the best guys.
These are the best guys.
Exactly. And it would just be an opinion. That's one thing about arm wrestling that we know. right after you beat somebody on the way to the car, their friend looks at him and says, hey, I bet you could beat him tomorrow. Yeah. And he'd be like, okay, I can.
So fill me in here. I tried to talk to it a little bit about Neil, but he felt we were getting off topic because he wanted to talk about me. But like back in the day when television came in, the whole thing was the television show would be the finals. The open tournament you'd get B-roll of people building up to the finals. Then when you made the finals, they took you in the back room, they interviewed you, and then the show was the guys in the finals. And that gave everyone in arm wrestling who wanted to show up at the Plaza Hotel or Mohegan Sun an opportunity to get on television. I kind of like that format because you never know. Like, you never know how a tournament bracket's going to fall, and it makes it interesting for television. And for a producer, I can't necessarily guarantee what the outcome would be, and thus make a maybe more exciting television show. Now, I see what the WAL's doing, the hand-picked super matches, basically building up these few guys, and then that's it. What changed from that old format to the new one? What happened?
I don't think that anything changed except finally the guy with the big money, right? Because there's only been big money guys every once in a while. The guy with the big money decided to take Neil's approach rather than Travis Bagent's tournament approach. And the reason is because he did the tournament approach and he could not afford to run the events in the model. So he took some time off, regrouped, was getting pressure from the other side to do one-on-one arm wrestling, because there's a battle there. There's a discussion. What's better? Is tournament arm wrestling better, or is super match arm wrestling better? Very valid argument, no problem. I happen to be on the tournament side, and Neil Pickup happens to be on the one-on-one side. Also, there were athletes, high-level athletes, that were interested in one-on-one arm wrestling as well. So from the get-go, that option was available, and I was a proponent of just tournament arm wrestling, and my approach won the argument, or they decided to go that way for a few years. And then it didn't work out, lost some sponsors, canceled an event, restart back up under a different format. So I think that probably hold
on. That's how it happened. So the old format was tournaments, then something happened, canceled. Then there was a
2017,
format shift.
6 weeks before the 2017 championships, canceled event. We went ahead and had the event at a reduced number, just because everybody had already bought their plane tickets and stuff. Then there was a 12-month absence, and then a reoccurrence under a new format of super match arm wrestling.
In the new format, it's just cheaper to produce?
And I think overall they feel it's a better product. I think they feel they can control the product. I don't know what their opinion is, but they like that better. So if you watch the 2015 shows, 2016 show, or you watch one of the Supermatch clips, you just have to make your mind up as to which one you like better. But from a business standpoint, they went with that model. Now, is it working out enough that they know that that's the best model? I don't know, but I feel like they feel like they've made the right decision with the one-on-one stuff.
I mean, I love it. I'm glad, like you said, I'm glad they do success. The more successful they are, the more people that will find my channel, right? It's like
100%. Yeah.
Better for everyone.
And guys that we love are under contract with them. So, what kind of friend would we be if we wanted their shit to not be successful? I mean, it'd be crazy.
But as a producer standpoint, when I was with Don Fritchie's money, giving away the 20 grand, and then I wanted content, which they want content. I looked at it like I figured out how many matches the tournament had, and I divided the 20 grand by the matches. And I was like, I want more matches because I get more return on the dollar. So that's how I looked at it as a financier. if I had a tournament with 1,000 entries, I could divide the money produced by the number of matches I'd had, and I basically was getting more bang for my buck. Let's say in the final, Devin Larratt is getting ready to arm wrestle Michael Todd. I love that they could cut to, well, Devin Larratt had to arm wrestle 10 people to get here, and here's those matches. From my point of view, like if I had a lot of money, I just like that format. That's probably the way I'd go. You said the same thing. That's how you would go.
Well, and it's not true. How I would go now would be a combination of both. The fact of the matter is I'm going to have a one-weight class tournament with small super matches in order to move up the bracket. So
the ROTN final, you got to the final, then you had super matches. I implemented that. Yeah, yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Feel you.
So every round will be best 2 out of 3 under this new format. Every round.
So wrapping back to something we talked about earlier, why isn't Travis Bagent in the WAL arm wrestling?
We hope you like the content. Thanks for stopping by. Please leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe. Now click that little bell icon so you get notified. This was Gary Roberts and Travis Bagent live.
Damn it! Do something else. Don't ever say them 2 names to me.